Your team is already living in Slack or Microsoft Teams, so why are you making them log into Airtable just to see what the status is on a project? Today, I'm showing you how to turn Airtable into a proactive member of your team so that when a status updates, when a deal is closed, you are going to receive a notification right where you're already living to do all of your work. We can send messages from Airtable directly to a user or a channel in Slack or Teams, and I'm going to break it down for you step by step. Plus, I'm going to also show you the hidden superpower of Slack that, as it integrates with Airtable, has a bonus of an actionable message that I'll break down in this video. So if you're tired of chasing updates, this is the fix. So stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. It's my mission here to help you unlock the full potential of no-code tools, and Airtable is at the forefront of all of the builds that we do. Now, before I get into the heart of the video, I first want to invite you to join our team for a strategy session. If you're stuck on your Airtable or no-code build, our team is standing by to help you overcome your hurdles. We put together a free strategy call. You can sign up at our website. Just visit us at gapconsulting.io and follow the steps on your screen to schedule your call. Once you have your call, you will have your next actionable steps. However, you need to move forward to get unstuck on your next Airtable build. But without further ado, let's hop on into my screen, and I first need to explain to you how our data layer is set up. So, really simple, straightforward sales pipeline that we're going to use in our example. We have 3 tables. We have contacts here. Those are linked to accounts, and then each account connects to opportunities. And this is the information that we're tracking. So we're moving an account through a deal pipeline or a deal flow, and we have an amount, we have a date that we expect it to close, and of course, most importantly, its current stage. So the idea is when this thing gets updated to being a won deal, a closed, successful sale, then we are going to want to send that Slack notification. Now, notice that I said Slack, but yes, Microsoft Teams also has a direct integration with Airtable, and it works exactly the same as what I'm going to show you for the first part of the Slack integration. So let's go ahead and dive into our automation step by step. First, we choose our trigger, and the trigger is what we already established just a moment ago. We want that sales status for the opportunity to be marked as won. But I want to help you build smart triggers, because the last thing you want is to send annoying notifications over and over again on the same record. To prevent this, make sure that you give your record a timestamp. So in our case, we have a field called Slack message sent, so that after this automation runs, we're going to update the timestamp of when it actually ran. And if that timestamp is already marked, that means we've already sent the automation and we're not going to ever do it again. Here's what that looks like at the data layer. I have over here created the Slack message sent field. It's a date field. I include time, and what we do in our automation is make sure that it's blank in our trigger. So making sure that there is no information filled out means that we've not yet performed the automation and we're safe to proceed. So only when a stage is marked to 1 and the Slack message sent is empty, meaning we don't have any information there, then and only then will we trigger our automation. Now, here is the Slack integration. This looks, if you're setting this up for the first time, like this. You choose the action, you go to Slack, and you say send message. That is exactly what I've set up here. Now, you'll notice that right now I'm hard coding to a specific channel, but you don't have to do this. You can send it to a user or users, or you can send it to a channel, and that information can be hard coded or it can be dynamic, meaning it changes every time the automation runs. Let me show you how you would set up a dynamic channel as an example. So back in our data layer, we have a channel name called reporting-example. Now you have to match this exactly to the way your channel is named in Slack or Microsoft Teams. For Slack, it's required that you start with a # or hashtag in order to tell the automation that this is a channel. And so we have the hashtag reporting-example in our channel names. But this could be really helpful if you have a different Slack channel for every different project that you're working on. You can make sure that you're sending the automated message to whatever channel is relevant for the record at hand. Now, in our example, I've just kept them all to reporting-example. So back here in the automation, the first time I just went to a specific channel and I selected this manually from the list, meaning that every time the automation runs, it will always go to that channel. But if you want it to be dynamic, you can make the selection here to update it to be dynamic. And this is where you can call in the channel name. So you can plug in the channel name just like this, and then you're sending a message to a dynamic channel that could change every time the automation runs. Now, the other component here is going to be the message. So pick out the message that you want to send, and do notice that Airtable already tells us that this is beholden to markdown from Slack. So if you want to send a message and embed a link, as I've done, you can do it like this by following the rules that they've set up here. You can also click here to open up more about how Slack's messaging works for developers if you want to get into it and put together some really cool formatting in your messages. But for us, I kept it pretty simple, and what I want to send is just a simple message that says, hey, this deal closed, and by the way, click here to open up that deal in the interface. So the interface that we're looking at looks like this. It is a roadmap of these different deals, and when we mark something as 1 and drop it into 1, it's going to send that message, and we're going to be able to click on that message and open up to view that record in this interface. So that is how we built this part 1. This exact thing can be done in Microsoft Teams, and notice again that you can send it to a channel or a user. Microsoft Teams is going to look exactly the same. The only difference here is that because I don't have a Microsoft Teams account to connect to, you're not going to see the element where you choose the channel or the user. But once you connect to an account appropriately, you will see that little prompt fill out right here, and then you will similarly set out your message. So let's go ahead and test this now for the Slack message at hand. Let's go ahead and update our automation, and we'll pull in a new record here. So we have this sample record that we're going to use, and this is what this message would look like. Let's generate a preview. It'll pop up on our screen. So notice that it will send it to the channel reporting-example, and then says exactly what our message says, except it's nice and it hyperlinks the actual link to the dashboard, as I mentioned. When we click that, we can click this from Slack. It's going to open up Airtable with the particular project in question right on our screen. So that part is all set and works in both Slack and Microsoft Teams. But now for the bonus. What is the actionable message inside of Airtable? That I've set up a new option for. So the actionable message is a Slack-only option, and you can choose to send an actionable message so that when the message is sent in Slack, the user or channel that received the message can take an action to move something along. As an example, you might imagine an approval process. So let's go back to our data layer, and I will show you what I built for this example. Here I've included an approval status, and this is a single select field that is either approved for commission or commission not approved. So imagine that when we close a deal, we send a message to our manager that says, do we approve this particular deal that was just closed? Is this approved for commission or is it not approved? The manager can then take the action right inside of Slack without ever opening Airtable, and it will update Airtable appropriately. So that is exactly what we build with this bonus actionable message inside of Airtable's automation. So let's break it down step by step. First, we're going to choose if we're sending to a user or a channel. This is very similar to the previous one, except it forces us to choose user or channel. In this case, I've hard-coded to a user but I could also set up dynamic steps as well. Do note that if you're selecting a user, this user is in Airtable and they must also have the same email address in Slack. So whatever email address they have on their Airtable account must match the email address in Slack. Otherwise, this integration is not going to know how to find that person. Then we have the title of this. Here I've just set it to be commission approval request, and then a message. We can include more information here if we want, but to keep things simple, I just said, please review this for commission. But now for the cool part of the actionable message, and this is where it gets a little more advanced. Here we've set up these buttons to update the record that triggered the automation, and we are either going to do one of these two things. We either approve it or deny it for commission. So you simply add as many buttons as you'd like, click on the pencil here to then update the button to do specific things. Now, I don't want a third button, so I'll remove that. And let's go into the first one that I set up. Approved for commission, green button, and when that is marked, then it will update the status approved for commission. Pretty straightforward. The other one, as you would imagine, commission denied. I gave it red, and then we set up the opposite action so that the field status is updated to commission not approved. So depending on what the user does from Slack, it will update the information in Airtable to either approve or deny this commission. So let's go ahead and test just this action here, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like in Slack. Opening up Slack here, I just sent myself a direct message, and so here is what that looks like when it comes through, and I have the opportunity to click either the red or the green button. Once I do that, it removes that here, tells me that it's processing, so I can only ever make one option or one selection, and then of course Airtable is going to do the work on the background. Now, the last part to any notification automation is always going to be going back and letting Airtable know, hey, I already sent this message, don't do it again. So here is the last step. We're going to update that record that triggered the automation, and we're going to update the date time field that's the Slack message sent, and we're going to mark the runtime so that we never send that message again. We don't want to re-ping and re-ping notifications, and using this kind of trigger and update mechanism in your notifications is going to prevent repetitive automations from triggering. So let's go ahead and make sure this thing is turned on and watch it in action. Remember, it's going to send two different messages. One of them is going to go to a channel. One of them is going to come directly to me. And then once it's all done, it's going to update the record in Airtable. So let's go ahead and update this from Airtable. What triggers the automation? It's when we mark something as 1. So I'm just going to grab this deal and drop it into the 1 column, which is going to trigger the automation to do its magic. Let's go ahead and pop open Slack now. And sure enough, you see that I have new notifications in my reporting example. So here is the new deal that just got closed. I can click here. It's going to open in a new window. The Airtable interface opened to the specific record that just got closed. Now let's head back into Slack. And this time I'm going to look at that direct message that came from Slackbot. And I can either approve or deny the commission here. Let's approve it. Back into Airtable, I did not put this into an interface, so we'll have to go to the data layer to see that it was approved for commission, and this is when the Slack message was sent. This, again, will prevent it from ever sending the automation again because it will never meet the trigger conditions a second time since this is now filled out. One closing word of advice on your Slack or Microsoft Teams integrations: don't send too many notifications, because if you're sending tons and tons of notifications from your Airtable, you're going to start getting ignores on your messages because people are dealing with a lot of pings and notifications already just in the process of their work day. So try to minimize that. If you send too many notifications, you will see a drop off. So be mindful and try to balance between sending relevant information and also not sending too much information that you overload people on your team. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you have questions we didn't answer, swing by our website because we have a ton of resources that we've put together, not the least of which is the free strategy call that I called out at the beginning of the video. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, a thumbs up goes a long way to help out our channel, and subscribe so that you see more videos like this. But the most important thing, keep on building.